Hi, folks. Welcome back to The Original Church. Our question today is one of the most persistent questions in the sense that it just keeps coming back around, especially every year at this time of year. But it's also one of the most irrelevant questions in the whole of church history. It is, in fact, one of the most ridiculous arguments that keeps coming back, and it's completely irrelevant for two very good reasons, which I'll get to in a minute. So, first of all, here's the question. It usually comes up, in fact, as a kind of objection, and it's not entirely clear exactly what people are objecting to, but the question is this: isn't it true that in the Hebrew version of Isaiah, when it says, a virgin will conceive and bear a son, right? That word virgin, that Hebrew word for virgin, doesn't necessarily really mean a virgin specifically, but it simply means a young, unmarried woman. Isn't that true? Well, yes, it is. But as you are about to see, it doesn't matter. First of all, it doesn't matter because Jesus and the apostles were not reading the Hebrew text of Isaiah. Now, Jesus and probably some of the apostles could read Hebrew, but in general, the Bible of Jesus and the apostles, as you know from watching my videos, was not the Hebrew text, it was the Septuagint, the Old Testament in Greek. And you may have heard that in the Septuagint and in the Greek, the word there that is translated from the Hebrew word for virgin, the word for virgin in the Septuagint does mean more specifically a virgin in the sense of someone who's never had sex. And in fact, in the original church, that same Greek word is used to describe the early celibates, those who would, be sort of what would evolve into nuns and monks, right? The order of virgins, the celibates in the early church. And so it does specifically mean celibate, virgins, right? But again, this misses the entire point, and here's why. First of all, even in the Hebrew, when the Hebrew word does simply mean a young unmarried woman, right? Well, guess what? A young unmarried woman in the ancient world absolutely is a virgin. I mean, if she's not, she's a prostitute, right? Because those are really your only two options. People back then did not go on unsupervised dates. They did not have premarital sex. Oh, I'm sure some of them did, but then they got married. And so it really misses the point to try and make a distinction between, let's say, a young unmarried woman who isn't a virgin and one who is. Now, it doesn't matter what the Hebrew word technically means. The assumption in everyone's mind would be, obviously, a young, unmarried, marriageable woman is a virgin. She has not had sex before. That's why she's marriageable, and that's the whole point. It's kind of like our Old English definition of the word a maiden. A maiden is a young, unmarried woman who is obviously a virgin, and if she's not, well, then it's a problem because this is the ancient world. This is not a world where people have premarital sex, right? And so young, unmarried woman is a virgin, right? But having said that, who cares? It doesn't matter, and here's why. Because regardless of whether you take the more strict Hebrew sense of young, unmarried woman, or the more sort of specific Greek sense of person who hasn't yet had sex, it doesn't matter because either one could simply be interpreted as there's this woman who was a virgin until she had sex and then conceived a child, right? Either one could be interpreted as procreation in the usual way. So it doesn't matter like the specific nuances of the word, because if you wanted to, you could interpret either one as, yeah, this woman got pregnant. She was a virgin until she wasn't, right? But the point is that no one interpreted it that way, not regarding the Isaiah passage, and of course, not regarding the New Testament passages that refer to the Isaiah passage, right? So the church fathers, for example, would say, look, here you have this passage in Isaiah, right? Where Isaiah says, hey, Ahaz, go ahead and ask the Lord for a sign. And Ahaz says, I'm not going to ask the Lord for a sign. And so Isaiah says, okay, fine. The Lord himself is going to give you a sign. A virgin will conceive. And the church fathers said, wait a second. If this is just procreation in the natural way, what kind of sign is that? How is that a sign? I mean, if that's all that Isaiah meant, if that's all that Ahaz heard, then Ahaz should respond with, ooh, big deal. A girl's going to get pregnant. What kind of sign is that? It's only a sign because everyone assumed it was a miraculous pregnancy. It was a virgin birth in Isaiah and, of course, with Jesus in Matthew, looking back on the Isaiah passage. In fact, to show you just how much the original Christians understood this passage as referring to a virgin birth, the church fathers actually used this as a biblical basis for the doctrine of the perpetual virginity of Mary. Not just that she was a virgin at the conception of Jesus, at the birth of Jesus, but that she was perpetually a virgin. And we cannot forget to point out that obviously Mary herself understood it this way, because otherwise, why would she say, how can this happen to me since I have not known a man, right? She gets that what the angel is describing to her is a virgin birth. She understands that the angel is not simply saying, oh, you're going to have sex with your husband and then you're going to get pregnant. Mary knows that's not what the angel is talking about. And so she says, whoa, how can this happen? Because I am a virgin. And obviously, we know what that means. So again, I don't know why this is even a thing. I don't know why this question keeps coming up. It is the most irrelevant question. And I really don't even understand, when it's posed as an objection, I don't really understand what people are objecting to. Like, is the implication that somehow we're supposed to think that the Isaiah passage is not really a prophecy, and so the connection between that passage and Jesus is somehow a mistake? Is that what we're supposed to think? Or are we supposed to go so far as to think that the birth of Jesus was not really a virgin birth and that the whole thing is a mistake, right? Well, it doesn't matter because it's so clear that the original Christians all understood Jesus' birth to be a virgin birth. They all understood that Jesus' birth was the fulfillment of a prophecy made at this time by Isaiah in the Isaiah passage. Now, remember, if you've been following my videos, you know that the way the original Christians read the Bible was that they understood that there can be multiple layers of meaning for any given passage in the text, right? So this Isaiah passage, right? No one was saying that the Jesus prophecy is the only meaning there. It has layers of meaning. And there's a historical layer of meaning too, where in the context at the time, there was a baby who was born, right? But the more important meaning for the church fathers and for the original Christians was the meaning that it has about Christ and for the church. And for that, everyone saw the connection. Everyone understood it as a miraculous birth. And everyone understood that Jesus' birth, that Jesus himself was the result of a virgin birth. So regardless of the nuances of the meaning of the words in Hebrew versus Greek, regardless of the implications of the question and what is it that people are questioning here, none of it matters. It's the most irrelevant question that I can think of at the moment, and I almost didn't make this video because it's just so ridiculous. But at any rate, obviously, the early Christians all understood Jesus to be the fulfillment of this prophecy and to be the result of a miraculous birth. Because after all, what's it all about? It's all about this. The Word became flesh and dwelt among us. Have a Merry Christmas, and I hope to see you over on Locals in the original church community on locals.com. Hope to see you there. Hey, thanks for watching this video all the way to the end. I really appreciate that. Please please share this video with your friends, and please join me in the Original Church community on locals.com. Don't forget that if you join the Original Church community on locals.com, you can join me each week for a live, in-depth, chronological Bible study. It's live streamed every Saturday, but you can watch it later if you're not available. So join me for that, and I'll see you there. I hope to see you there. I hope to see you there, and I'll see you there.